While we look down at our phones, they'll drop a bomb from a drone, then an explosion. We should've known it. We stood on top of mountains, we've been to space before. We had our dogs and houses, we dug up dinosaurs. We built those bombs are dropping, we fought in all their wars. Now that the sky's falling, what did we do it for?
Wanted to bring you this story. There might be a Russian doomsday weapon headed for the shores of the United States. New reports that a Russian ship capable of carrying a Mach 9 hypersonic nuclear cruise missile is now cruising through international waters in the Atlantic. It's supposedly conducting tests of its hypersonic missile systems, but apparently it's now headed toward the East Coast. Correspondent Sarah Williamson has details from our New York newsroom. Sarah.
Good morning to you both. That's right. The US and its NATO allies are keeping a close eye on the Russian frigate as she deviates course and reportedly sails towards the US coast. The warship, called the Admiral Gorshkov, is armed with Zircon missiles, which Russian President Vladimir Putin claims has no equivalent in the world. Now, escorted through British waters by the Royal Navy and French and Spanish ships, and then through the Atlantic, the frigate was scheduled to head down the coast of Africa, but as you can see, she's taken a right turn there. But monitoring sites claim that it took a sudden diversion and then headed towards Bermuda now. So the Russian Defense Ministry today announced that the test
Okay, here is something very concerning. CBS News reporting Russian warships will be arriving in Havana, Cuba next week. That's according to Cuban officials. Military exercises are expected. I want all of you to take a look at this map. See right up there? That's where Havana, Cuba is. Not very far away, Miami, Florida, the United States. Not far at all. So right there near Havana, there will be Russian warships doing drills. More reporting coming in saying that these Russian warships will include a nuclear sub, a missile frigate. They'll arrive in Cuba next week. But guess what? Cuba is saying that these ships will not be carrying any nuclear weapons. Sure, we can trust what Cuba is saying, right? These exercises will include Russian long-range bombers flying along the U.S. East Coast, according to this senior CBS National News security correspondent. Wow. Okay? Interesting. Make sure you're following me right here for news like this. CBS is covering it, but I'm not seeing it anywhere else. Wow.
Whoa, now I'm saying but y'all like to check this out. Here we go again. If it ain't one thing, it's another. The United States is in some big trouble right now. Now, we all know the Biden administration and all the weapons that they've been sending to Ukraine, they told Ukraine they can strike inside of Russia. We know Putin been telling NATO and the US, hey man, y'all continue to keep doing that shit that you're doing, I'm gonna have to show you something. And I will use nukes. Everybody laughing about it. Everybody taking his threats as a joke. And he said, I will show you, and I will show you that none of my threats are empty. Guess where he's going? He's taking his warships in submarines, nuke capability, and finna dock off in Cuba. That is the United States backyard. Do you know he can just launch that shit? That shit can hit Miami, Dallas, New York, Cali, fuck it, anywhere in the United States. And even if you was to intercept some of them shits, all it take is one, folks. See, right now, the United States is fighting wars on so many fronts that it can't fucking keep up, man. Everybody want a piece of this motherfucker. You know why? Because we have weak leadership in this motherfucker, man. They Pinocchio their nose in everybody's business. instead of worrying about what's going over here in the United States. Wide open fucking border. It ain't nothing but soldiers from other countries in this motherfucker, man. Everybody's life is basically in danger, man. This man is docking off in Cuba. And they ain't doing this shit for play. Now the United States is on high alert right now. The U.S. military is paying attention and tracking all of this shit right now. Hey, man, welcome to World War III, folks. But it's a lot of fronts this time. It's a lot of things going on behind the scenes that they ain't telling everybody, man. So while y'all out here lollygagging and singing Kumbaya and running around like you got another day and another day after that and hanging out and shit, you better begin your shit together. You better begin your life together. You better begin closer with your friends. You better start getting closer with your neighbors. You better start going to purchase things that you need. And I ain't talking about to put on. I'm talking about to survive. You better start getting them fishing poles, water bottles, generators, you know what I'm saying? And everything else, ammunition, and everything else that you can come up with. Because I'm going to tell you something, 2024 going to be a year like you never seen before. It might be your last, the way the shit going on right now. And let me tell y'all something, man. Ain't nobody scared of none of this shit. I get on here to warn y'all. I get on here to let y'all know, man, this shit is getting out of hand. You better take notice and get prepared for what's to come, man. The man is docking over there in Cuba. What does that mean? Hey, we might soon find out. Y'all step out there, get it out the mud.
So 4 Russian naval vessels, including 1 submarine, are going to be landing in Havana, Cuba, next week. Cuba's foreign ministry said that they're going to arrive somewhere between June 12th and June 17th. They also expounded upon that, stating that they were not carrying nuclear weapons and that they were no threat to the region. This announcement from Cuba came a day after U.S. officials were already aware that they were en route to the Caribbean for a naval exercise. So Cuba's foreign ministry said that the 4 ships that are coming is the frigate Gorshkov, which is this one right here, the Russian nuclear submarine Kazan, which is this right here, the fleet oil tanker Pashin, which is this, or looks like this, I believe it's the same exact one, and last but certainly not least, the salvage tug Nikolai Chikir. During their stay, they will be firing 21 salvos from one of the ships as a salute to the nation of Cuba and their partnership. This will then be reciprocated by the Cuban Revolutionary Armed Forces artillery unit that's there.
Russian military warships are in Havana. Don't believe me.
The Russian armed forces intend to conduct exercises in the Caribbean, reports Reuters. The White House does not see this as a threat, since Russia conducted similar exercises from 2013 to 2020. Russia is seeking to demonstrate to the United States that it is still capable of becoming a global power, with the exercises being a response to U.S. support for Ukraine, the source said. Russian warships and aircraft will be located literally hundreds of miles from the United States in order to show their power, which they have not yet been able to achieve in a real war.
They ride.
Okay, here is something very concerning. CBS News reporting, Russian warships will be arriving in Havana, Cuba next week. That's according to Cuban officials. Military exercises are expected. I want all of you to take a look at this map. See right up there? That's where Havana, Cuba is. Not very far away, Miami, Florida, the United States. Not far at all. So right there near Havana, there will be Russian warships doing drills. More reporting coming in saying that these Russian warships will include a nuclear sub, a missile frigate. They'll arrive in Cuba next week. But guess what? Cuba is saying that these ships will not be carrying any nuclear weapons. Sure, we can trust what Cuba is saying, right? These exercises will include Russian long-range bombers flying along the U.S. East Coast,
according to this senior CBS National News security correspondent. Wow. Okay? Interesting. Make sure you're following me right here for news like this. CBS is covering it, but I'm not seeing it anywhere else. Wow.